The Resident Evil 4 Remake just might be the greatest game ever created again. What's up everybody, this is Stan and welcome back to the channel. Today, I wanted to give kind of a review on the Resident Evil 4 Remake. Basically, I just want to talk about this game. I've been playing it non-stop ever since its release, and I just wanted to give you my thoughts on it. Now, keep in mind, this video will definitely have spoilers, so if you guys don't want to be spoiled on the Resident Evil 4 Remake, here is your warning before we get into everything. With all that being said, let's talk about Resident Evil 4 Remake. So, of course, you can't talk about the Resident Evil 4 Remake without talking about the original Resident Evil 4. This game is highly regarded by many people as the greatest game ever created, and rightfully so. Without Resident Evil 4, we would not have many of the games that we know and love today. This game literally changed the landscape of video games forever, and with that being said, Resident Evil 4 Remake definitely had some really big shoes to fill, and did it actually do that? Well, let's talk about that. So, this game has so many things that I want to cover, and I'm going to start with my initial reaction and my initial experience with this game. This game brought back so much nostalgia from the original Resident Evil 4, but they also kept it new. It felt like I was playing a brand new game, but it also felt familiar. And I think that's really, really good. Now, I want to make this very clear. I'm not a huge fan of the original Resident Evil 4. Honestly, when I do a tier list of Resident Evil 4, it always scores pretty low. But I understand why so many people love the original. For me, I just did not like the action of the original because I'm an OG RE fan. I like the slow, scary, jump scare, gruesome games that I grew up with on the PlayStation 1. And of course, RE4 is an action-oriented game. It's fast-paced. It's all about gunplay when you compare it to the original Resident Evil games that I fell in love with as a child. With that being said, I did play the original a ton, but of course, I do like those older titles more than Resident Evil 4. But it's totally different with the remake. For some reason, I really love this game. It feels so fluent, everything is smooth, the fights are really good, the gore is right on point, and it does have its scary moments here and there. Of course, it's not the scariest Resident Evil game we've had, but it definitely is scary from time to time, and the action is definitely really, really good. With that being said, I can 100% confidently say that the Resident Evil 4 Remake is the best playing and handling Resident Evil game I have ever played in my entire life. And I have played almost every Resident Evil game. There's a few side games that I haven't played, but for the most part, I have played every single Resident Evil game. And without a doubt, RE4 Remake is the best playing one out of the bunch. So, the Resident Evil 4 Remake definitely has the best gameplay from the Resident Evil series. And there are a few reasons as to why that is. First of all, the gunplay feels amazing. Secondly, every gun in this game feels like it has a purpose. They all feel very useful, and it's all pretty much balanced. Next up, we have this really cool knife system where you can parry enemies, you can parry axes that are thrown at you, projectiles, you can stab enemies for critical attacks. The knife system is very well used in the Resident Evil 4 Remake. There's another new addition to this game in a stealth mechanic. Now, I'm a huge fan of this because I really do like the idea of being able to sneak past enemies or sneak up on enemies and eliminate them. I've always liked games like Metal Gear Solid and Splinter Cell, and I think it's a huge addition to the Resident Evil 4 Remake. Now, speaking of additions, there's a new crafting system which I love entirely. I never thought that it would be so useful to be able to craft certain items on the fly, and it really is. And it's changes like those that truly make this experience the best gameplay experience I have ever seen in Resident Evil, period. This game handles and plays better than any other RE game we have ever seen. Now, moving on, I wanted to talk about the changes to the characters and the story. I think everything is better in this game than the original, starting with Leon and Ashley's relationship. In this game, you're not just having to protect Ashley. There's so many instances in this game where Ashley is actually very useful and she actually helps Leon. There's parts in this game where if it wasn't for Ashley, we'd be in some serious trouble. And she's not just that damsel in distress like she was in the original. She is just so useful. And I'm glad to see the dynamic between Leon and Ashley actually make sense in this game. And Ashley's not the only character to show growth in this game. Every single character has been expanded upon. That includes Krauser, that includes Luis, Ada Wong, the Merchant, Salazar, you name it. Every single character in this game has been heavily expanded upon. They all show growth. They all have a good character arc. This game's characters are just so good compared to the original. And I'm just really glad that they showed all these characters justice in this game. Even Leon has a better character arc in this game than he did in the original. So I really do like the changes to the characters. And with that being said, they also did a lot of changes to the story as well. And I think they were all for the better. And it just seems like they're setting up other Resident Evil games. We're not going to talk about that today, but it really just ties everything in nicely. And I just love what they did. So those are the best things about the Resident Evil 4 Remake in my opinion. The gameplay and the changes to the story and the characters in this game. Now, on top of all of this, there is a lot of replayability for the Resident Evil 4 Remake. Of course, there is the Mercenaries mode that was added for free shortly after release. In this mode, we get to play as a few characters from the game, and you just fight hordes of enemies and just try to get the highest score possible. I think it's a really fun game mode. It's very similar to the original Mercenaries mode. It's not exactly the same, but it definitely is fun. Then there are a ton of unlockables in this game, such as clothing and weapons and, concept art. There's all kinds of different things that you can unlock in this game. So the replayability for this game is through the roof. And they're also going to be adding more DLC to this game in the Ada Wong side story Separate Ways. So definitely look forward to that. So with new content coming to Resident Evil 4 Remake, and so many unlockables, and just so many different ways to play this game, I think the replayability of this game is just through the roof, and it's never going to die down. Now, I don't know about you guys, but for me personally, I play this game almost every single day. I completely love this game, and it's usually not my typical Resident Evil game, so that definitely says a lot. Now, I wanted to go back to my opening statement in this video. Is this the greatest game ever created? Once again, just like the original Resident Evil 4 was. And I've already said that I do believe that this game is better than the original Resident Evil 4. So this kind of goes back to the original Resident Evil 4, the OG. That game is seen as one of the greatest games ever simply because of the time of its release. It revolutionized gaming. It's something that we never seen before, and it just changed everything. And I just don't feel like Resident Evil 4 Remake had the same impact. While it may be a better game, it did not impact the world like the OG Resident Evil 4 did. So with that being said, I cannot say that this game is the greatest game ever created. What I can say though is this is the best Resident Evil game ever created, hands down. Now that doesn't mean it's my favorite Resident Evil game, but when I think about all of these Resident Evil titles that we have gotten over the years, this definitely is the best one. And it really gives me high hopes for the rest of the series, especially when we're talking about future Resident Evil remakes and new Resident Evil games like Resident Evil 9. The future looks so bright for this series, and Resident Evil 4 Remake, I feel like, is only the beginning. Now, this is the part of the video where you guys come in. I want to hear from you in the comment section below on how you feel about the Resident Evil 4 Remake. Are you like me and feel like it's an amazing game, or do you guys think it's just mediocre or just plain out bad? I would love to hear it from you in the comment section, so definitely sound off below and let me know how you feel about RE4 Remake. And as always, thank you so much for watching, and I will catch you in the next one.